Hello, grade 7. You're watching this video if we are on virtual school or if we are practicing virtual school. Okay, so first, let's warm up. This is the first part of your quiz last Friday. So you can either download again what you have submitted to check your work, or you can work on this one as a warm-up. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment and give you time to warm up. You can pause the video. Okay, so let's start again. I am going to share with you the answers and then check what you have on your paper. So for the first part is identify the operation needed to solve the problem, and that should be the opposite or the inverse operation. So for number 1, it's x plus 4. The opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. That means that we're going to subtract. So it's subtraction. Number 2 is y divided by 3. So that means it's division, and then the answer should be the opposite or inverse of division, which is multiplication. Number 3. It's negative 12 multiplied to an unknown value of w. So multiplication, the opposite or inverse operation is division. Check your work. And then the last one, number 4, it's z minus 7. So the opposite of minus is plus, which is addition. Okay, so check your work. Now let's go back to number 1 because it says find the missing values of the equations above. So we want to know what is the value of x. What is the number that when you add to 4 will give you negative 6? So we're going to use subtraction, and it should be the number closest to the variable. So plus 4, the opposite is minus 4. So negative 6 minus 4 will give you negative 10. So x is negative 10. Let's move on to y, which is y divided by 3. The inverse operation of multiplication. So we're going to multiply 12 by 3, which is the coefficient of y, or the number closest to the variable. So that will be times 3. So 12 times 3 is 36. So y is 36. So we can substitute 36 to y. So if y is 36, 36 divided by 3 is 12, which is correct. Okay. Number 3, the inverse operation is division. So we're going to divide 96 by the coefficient negative 12. 96 divided by negative 12 will give us negative 8. Remember, when you divide a positive by a negative, your quotient is negative. Okay, number 4, last one for the warm-up. It's z minus 7. The inverse is addition. So we are going to add 7. And so negative 22 plus 7 will give you negative 15. So check your work, and that's just the warm-up and the answers for the first part of your quiz last Friday. Okay, so let's move on to what you are going to learn for today. For today, your learning objective is to learn how to solve two-step equations. So that means that you will require 2 steps to solve the equation. You need to understand that what you're going to do is to isolate the variable or separate the variable using the inverse operation or opposite operation. So remember, we did the inverse operation: plus, the opposite is minus, minus, the opposite is plus, times, the opposite is division or divide, and divide, the opposite is to multiply. Okay, so let's get started with the 2 steps. First step, you either add or subtract the constant from both sides. The second step is you either multiply or divide the coefficients from both sides. So remember, coefficient is the number closest or beside the variable or letter. Okay, so the variable should now be isolated. Okay, let's have our first example. So for the first example, 5 multiplied by x minus 6 is equal to negative 21. So according to the first step, we either add or subtract. So we can see here it's minus 6, so we do the opposite. So we're going to do plus 6 on both sides. Then we will see that minus, if we solve it downwards, minus 6 plus 6 is 0. So you will have on the left side of the equal symbol, you will just have 5x, and then negative 21 plus 6 is negative 15. So we are done with the first step. Number 2 step. It says you either multiply or divide the coefficient. This is multiplication, so we're going to do the opposite. So we are going to divide. We divide it by the coefficient. The coefficient is 5. So we're going to divide both sides by 5. And then 5 divided by 5 is 1. That would mean 1x. But you do not have to write the 1. And negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. Okay, so your answer is negative 3. Okay, you can repeat and watch this again if you got confused. Okay, make sure that you understand what's happening. Okay, I'm going to give you another example. 8x plus 5 equals 61. So if you don't see the operation, it's multiplication. Okay, remember, number 1 step, you either add or subtract. Okay, so here is plus 5, so you go minus 5, the opposite. And then now we're going to solve this downwards. So plus 5 minus 5 is 0. So you're going to bring down 8x and then equals 61 minus 5 is 56. Now, moving on to step number 2. You either divide or multiply by the coefficient or the number beside the variable. So here, because it's multiply, we are going to divide. So we divide both sides by 8 to balance the equation. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. You do not have to write 1. You will only have to write x, and 56 divided by 8 is equal to 7. Okay, so if you need to go back, just rewind the video and you can listen to it once again. Okay, so here are the 2 steps again, and then following these are problems that you should try. So there are 3 problems. At this point, pause the video and solve the problems and find the missing values. Okay, remember to write this down on a piece of paper or your notebook, because later on you're going to take a photo to submit it in ManageBat. Okay, so here are the answers. Remember, I will look at the process. X is equal to negative 5, y is equal to negative 3, and this one is not x, this is f, and sorry, this should be y, and this is f. So now f is equal to negative 5. 1 or 2 of these are wrong answers. So if you're just copying the answer here, I will know. They are not all correct. Okay, moving on to the second part of solving 2-step equations. Okay, so let's keep going. The second part of this presentation. Okay, so solving 2-step equation. This time, we now have c divided by 3. So we're now using division in our original equation. Okay, so just the same, For the number one step for a two-step equation, first you either add or divide. So what we are looking at is the constant. So here it's plus, our constant is plus 13. We use the inverse or the opposite. So plus 13, the opposite is minus 13. So we're going to subtract 13 on both sides. Okay, once we had done that, then we can now solve it downwards, and then 13 minus 13 is 0, and so we can just bring this whole expression down here. C divided by 3 equals negative 13. Now remember, this line means division, so the inverse operation of division is multiplication. So we are going to multiply both sides by the coefficient or the number closest to the variable. So that will be multiplied by 3 on both sides. So 3 on the left side of the equal symbol, 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then again, like I told you before, you don't have to write the coefficient 1 besides C. Okay, and at the other side, the right side, negative 13 multiplied by 3 is negative 39. So C, the variable C, is equal to negative 39. Okay, I have one more example. Okay, so let's try this other problem. M divided by 5 is minus 10 equals 15. Remember, number one, plus, either plus or minus. Now be guided by the operational symbol closest to just the number itself without the letter. So this is minus 10, so you're going to plus 10 on both sides of the equal symbol. And when you do that, you can now start solving it downwards. Okay, minus 10 plus 10 is 0. So then you will only have m divided by 5. This is 0. Equals 15 plus 10 is 25. Now, we are now in number 2 step. This is division, so we do use the opposite. The opposite of division is multiply. So then we are going to multiply both sides by the number closest to the variable or letter. So that will be 5. So multiply 5 on the left, multiply 5 at the right. Okay, on the left side, 5 divided by 5 is 1, so you will only have m. I'm going to copy the equal symbol, then 25 multiplied by 5 is 125. Now you are done. M is equal to 125. Okay, so once again, what are the 2 steps in solving two-step equation? Number 1 step, you either add or subtract the constant or just the number from both sides. Number 2, multiply or divide the coefficients from both sides. At the second set of example, we just multiplied because all the problems are in division. Okay, now you are going to try these 3 problems. Once again, you're back to your notebook or the piece of paper that you used to solve or your work area on the first set of problems. Okay, solve them, pause the video. Okay, and now I'm going to share with you the answers. Not all of them are correct. And by the way, I'm so sorry, everything is X when it should not have been. Okay, so for number 1, is X equal to 0? Is it correct? Okay. Number 2, this X should have been M because our variable is M. Is it M equals to negative 52? And at the last one, Y is equal to negative 28. I believe one of these answers is wrong. Okay, so then I will see it on your paper when you submit your work. Okay, so keep going. This is now your independent practice. You solve this and it has to be written on that paper once again. So there are 2 sets, practice 1 and practice 2. All you have to do is choose one set. You either do practice number 1 or do practice number 2. If you want to solve both sets, you are welcome to solve both sets. So I'm going to go back to practice 1. So you can pause this video if you want practice 1. If you do not want practice 1, I'm now moving on to practice number 2. Here you go. And then solve this set once you are done on a piece of paper and show your work, show your process. Okay. When you are done, take a photo of your work and then upload it in ManageBack. The task title in ManageBack for this is Virtual School Two-Step Equation. So, thank you very much. I know that this video is too long, but then remember, you do not have to finish it all today because you will have your catch-up day. Bye everyone.